So I think the mic is on. Can you all hear me? All right. So I have one of the best jobs at UMR, and it is to work with students that are a part of this specific learning community. So I'm going to share with you just a little bit about the learning community, but I don't want to take a lot of time because I really want this to be an opportunity for the students to really showcase what the learning community is and what it means specifically to them. Um, Absolutely not working. So let's see. Let's see. Um, there we go. There we go. Yeah. So just want to give you just a bit of a background, and this is just how the healthcare workforce in the state of Minnesota, and this is really from a legislative commission that was created in 2014, just to sort of look at what the healthcare field looks like in Minnesota, and just some high levels. What they determined was their goal was to identify current and anticipated shortages, and then also to look at, to evaluate the current incentives that were in place to attract and retain highly skilled healthcare workforce, and then also to look at what were some alternative incentives, and to identify causes and solutions to barriers. And this included training and residency shortages, disparities in income between primary care and other providers, and negative perceptions about primary care work among students. And then the commission's findings was that there was a shortage in a variety of professions, but specifically in physicians. There was a significant shortage in the number of physicians that were projected in the state of Minnesota. And the healthcare workforce was not diverse. Particularly not as diverse as the general population, and it was not diversifying as fast as the population. And one, that there was disparities in between primary care physicians and other specialties, with primary care paying less, and that they had fewer of those primary care workers in rural areas. And then in long-term care, there were unique problems, including the workforce having a lower educational level, and that particular end of the workforce was more diverse. And that the state had significant investments in healthcare workforce education. There was $94 million that was invested in healthcare education in 2014. So how does that impact what happened here at UMR? One is that we looked at how do we grow the number of students that were from underrepresented populations here at UMR, and one, build off of UMR's success that it had already had working with this cohort of students. The first thing, just to talk about what underrepresentation means. And so for a student to be considered underrepresented student at UMR, you have to be a student who's first generation. And first generation, I was one of those students. Neither of your parents completed a 4-year degree. If your parents had gone to a 2-year school, that still classified you, or had graduated from a 2-year school, you're still classified as first generation. And I always tell the story that I went to a school that was an all-boys college and for all African American males. So I went to a school that was specifically designed for me. And I'll never forget that when I got there my freshman year, I was so much a fish out of water. I remember calling my mother and saying, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it, and I don't know what to do. And my mother's response, and I know the students have heard me say this, my mother's response was like, baby, pray about it. And I was like, that ain't going to work. But that was the best advice that she could give because she hadn't been in college. So she didn't know how to direct me to the counseling center or the academic support center. She just didn't have that knowledge. So now I have two daughters that are in college, and because I've gone through the process, I'm directing them specifically through. If you're a first generation student, you need someone to help you navigate higher education. That there are constant hoops that you have to jump through financial aid, through admissions, through registering for class, through staying involved, through maintaining your housing, that you just need some help making sure that you have someone to help guide you through that. So if you're first generation, if you're Pell eligible, Pell is a Pell Grant. Pell Grant, that is income qualified. So if you are meeting certain income criteria, then you're also considered an underrepresented student. If you're a student of color or if you're a student from a different nationality, you're underrepresented on this campus. And here at UMR, if you're a male student, you're underrepresented. And I tell individuals all the time, it's interesting because the school here is probably 80-20, about 80% female, about 20% male. And this is across ethnicities. So even if you're looking at, and there's an issue across higher education about, men not going and pursuing higher ed at the same level as women. And so this is an underrepresented class as well. So this particular community is for underrepresented students. These are the criteria or categories of underrepresentation. One thing about UMR is that UMR is an institution that already has or already uses a lot of high-impact educational practices. Now, high-impact educational practices are those practices that are proven to be really effective in helping students to graduate, to stay on campus, to stay enrolled, and to ultimately graduate. So if I look at this whole list of high-impact educational practices, UMR has them all. And first-year seminars, these things we're already doing. A common intellectual experience. I think that the entire curriculum being really focused on healthcare gives you that common intellectual experience. Writing intense courses and having those courses that are paired with other science and math courses. I think these things were already things that UMR was really doing and doing effectively. The one thing, and this is where I come in, is, I need to just, there. That's the one that UMR didn't have before I came, and this is one of the reasons specifically where I was hired, to really do the learning communities. All right, and so a learning community, and we'll talk a little bit about what that is, but I want to share with you CORE, and Ann mentioned this, but this is a community of respect and engagement. And we'll talk about what, not only what that acronym means, but how that acronym looks and what it means to the students. Because when she said CORE, and the students were like, I don't know what that means. I'm not surprised about that because it's not the acronym that I think means anything to them, but it's the experience that they'll share with you that really helps them to understand. They know that they're a part of CORE, but I don't know that they internalize that CORE is an acronym for a community of respect and engagement. So what does it mean? The mission of the program. One is it enhances diversity and inclusivity at UMR. And it does that through intentional community development and support. And we'll talk about what that means. And here, the ultimate goal of CORE is to support the success of those students who are underrepresented. We just finished meeting with them earlier, and what I said to them was that my job is to facilitate their success. And then also to ensure that these undergraduate students will infuse the healthcare field with their distinct perspectives. So we talked a little bit about what's happening in the healthcare profession in Minnesota earlier, but the idea is to create a cohort of students who are ready and prepared and educated to go out there and be the next generation of healthcare providers, bringing their very distinct perspectives to the fields. And this is just a little background of how we got here. My first task was to identify 20 students. 20 students to be the first cohort of Health Corps, and we had over 275 eligible students. Now, one of the things that I need for everyone else to really begin to understand is also Mayo started a program, the Career Immersion Program last summer. They had almost the same issue. They wanted to start with 20 students. They had far more applicants and far more eligible and far more intellectually capable students to go into the program than they had anticipated. And they wind up boosting their numbers as well. So we have about 36% Asian students, about 30% Hispanic students, about 27% African American students, and about 2% students are white. And here we are. So even though I listed as a part of my objective was to also recruit underrepresented males, we wind up with the same ratio as the campus at large. So there are 80% young ladies in the program, and about 20% of the participants are male. All right. So what did we do? Well, the one thing that we knew that we wanted to do was to bring the students on campus to get acclimated to campus early. So the students were invited to start their freshman year 2 weeks earlier than all of the other students. And it's called a bridge program. And a bridge program is a pretty typical academic support program at an institution. And it's really a bridge program because it's bridging the gap from high school to college, helping students to bridge that gap. Because one of the things we know, particularly we're talking about a first-generation student, if in fact you don't have this history of college in your family, then you come in with a lot more trepidation than other students. And so what do we wanted to do? We wanted to find out, one, what was the gateway course in the freshman year? And it probably is not difficult for you all to imagine. It's the math course. And the math course for all freshmen is statistics. And so you come into UMR, stats is your first class, and so we really wanted to find a way to give them support for that particular class. And so there was a stats boot camp, and we were really fortunate enough in that the math faculty had already been thinking about how do they help boost students' success and grades in that math class, that they had a shell of a math program already prepared. And so it was just a matter of taking or finding a way to incorporate that program that they already had with this new bridge program that we had on campus. But we did a little bit more than just a math class. It was an integrated learning experience. And so the classes here at UMR are integrated, and so we wanted the students to get a realistic expectation of what to expect in those classes. So that math class and a writing class were combined or worked together in order to give the students this kind of first glance or a little taste of what college would be all about. But also we know, particularly from student affairs professionals, one of the things we know is that if in fact you give students an opportunity to engage with their instructors both in and outside of the classroom, that builds a kind of familiarity, a kind of comfortableness with the professor, where students are more inclined to ask more questions, to seek more help, and assistance. So there were opportunities for us to do fireside chats with their professors. And this really turned into a lot more than just a fireside chat, because we actually had one of the professors to invite the students to his farm, and his mother and his grandmother hosted us at the farm, and we went out, and I'll be honest with you, it was my first time being out and around steer. You know, I learned the difference between cows and steers, but we had an opportunity to go out to the farm, and it gave students an opportunity to build that rapport with their professors. And I think that has been one of the things that I'm sure these students will talk about later. And then we did things to help them to get acclimated to the Rochester community. One of the things is that by bringing them in 2 weeks early, Thursdays on First was still going on. And if they had waited until the start of the school year, they would not have even experienced that festival that is an annual ritual here in the Rochester community. And not only did they just experience Thursdays on First was a part of their research for their stats class. So they found that the instructors, and I've got to just give kudos to the instructors, of which Dr. Wright Peterson is here tonight. They found a way to incorporate Rochester into the academic component for these students, and it really gave them an opportunity to really get acclimated to this area. But we also did Eagles Bluff, an opportunity to build, to solidify the community. Because remember, now these students will seem all comfortable and relaxed and really sort of joined when they are a part of this session. But it wasn't very long ago, they came in just kind of wide-eyed and not knowing each other, and we've got to find a way to sort of get them to mesh and get them to know each other. And Eagles Bluff, I think, was one of the first opportunities that we had to do that. And it was an opportunity for us to see a part of southeastern Minnesota. And then we did a canoe trip. We did a canoe trip, and you know what? I did not get wet, but some people did. Some people did, and some people were. There were just a few of us who may not have been successful in navigating the entire river, but we all made it to our end goal, and it was one of those experiences that really helped to, I think, not only ingrained UMR into these students' experience, but also to solidify that community. And the community is the community of respect, and also, I think, a community that is holding each other accountable. I think that's a big part of it as well, that these students understand clearly that my role is to help them through this process, but ultimately they have to be their first cheerleaders or their first form of support, and then they support each other. So with that, I'm going to take a break real quick, and the students actually put together a video that really speaks to, let's see if I can do this. How do I get it to switch from the PowerPoint?
Well, let's see what we got here. Which one is it?
It is here.
This one?
Mm-hmm.
You know what's funny?
But let's do this.
There's 20% of guys here, and then you're like 1 to 3. I'm ironic as that.
Yep. It's me.
Wait, 6. 1 6.
All right. Let's see.
Hi, my name is Brianna. I'm from Coon Rapids, and I chose UMR because I thought it would give me the best opportunity in this field that I chose. And I think what's important about being in this health core community is that we have a community that holds people accountable, and it just keeps you like on your toes and make sure you get everything done. And if you have any questions, you can just go knock on your neighbor's door. So I think that's what's important.
Wanted to just ask. We have a stats exam on Friday and we need to be prepared.
And each of those include a probability statement, but then also
Do you remember
actually compute it using.
Heading to my 9 a.m. Oakham lab.
Have you guys done the just ask hours for philosophy yet?
No, I'm actually gonna go right now. You wanna go? Yeah. 12:58. He comes at 1.
Okay. What are you guys gonna do?
I'm gonna talk to them how to start. I actually do not know how to start my paper.
Is it even in our notes?
It should be. The last time I checked it was, but I got it on the diary.
Okay, I'm just gonna try to do Canada.
I need help with Kerbo, so.
Hi guys, I'm gonna give you a tour of my apartment. Okay. So here we have full kitchen, dishwasher, fridge, microwave, everything. We have our own washer and dryer. I have 4 people living in here, so we have 2 rooms over here. And then they have a full bath over here. Okay, now that you saw a tour of my apartment, I want to tell you a little bit about what it's like to live here. Having the washer and dryer in our apartment is really helpful. I know a lot of my friends have to pay to go somewhere else to use the washer and dryer. We have full baths, so we have our own privacy. We have a dishwasher. Living on the 7th floor with all the rest of the health corps participants is really easy and it's super fun. You can just hang out with anyone. If you have any questions on homework, it's easy to go over, just knock on their door, and they'll probably be working on the same problem you're working on. So.
Huh?
Why'd you bring your laptop back? Like
I don't know. Instruction data, and I thought it was easier.
Again, Excel?
Yeah, on Excel.
No, can't see that.
Cool.
Thank you.
How's it going?
That's good.
Sorry.
Right foot, blue.
But you can't even move your face. We're having friendly play.
No, it's serious. Don't do that. Why are you so serious?
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Friday night and I won't be long. Gotta do my hair, put my makeup on. It's Friday night and I won't be long till
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, I don't think anybody's hard.
I love my blended fruit thing.
Okay, so the one reason that I showed this is because it's hard to really explain community. It's hard to really explain what community looks like. And one of the things that we did was to put these students all on one floor in the residential environment, so they all stay on the 7th floor. And because students take a cohort of classes, then the students were taking the same courses. So we knew that if we kind of really fostered a community, that it would then allow these students an opportunity to work collaboratively and also to sort of build off each other's strengths and to support each other where one might be weak. So that was a video that was done by the students, and I think that it's indicative of the kind of relationship that these students have developed over the course of just one semester. So I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to allow the students an opportunity to sort of take over this presentation. And so what I've done is I've got a couple of questions, and so we'll get the students almost like, I feel like I am Phil Donahue. Not that the students will even know who Phil Donahue is, but then I want you all to share with the audience a little about your experience. So the first thing is to tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you're from. Share an interesting nugget about yourself, maybe about your childhood, about your culture, or about your family. What high school did you attend, and what are your future goals? All right. So, you wanna start, Paola?
Okay. Hi, my name is Paola. I was originally born in Mexico, but I moved to the United States at the age of 1, and since then I've been living in Twin Cities. And then I decided to go to UMR because it offered the best option for what I wanted to go to, which was my passion to go into medicine. And it has like all the courses available for me. We have Mayo in our backyard, which is amazing. What else?
And what are your future plans? What are your future healthcare plans?
My future plans. I want to become a physician, especially in the ICU for pediatrics. So, yeah.
How the hell did you? You're shorter than me. Well, hi, I'm Samira. I had a boring life. I'm here from Rochester, actually. The reason why I chose Health Corps was because of how different it was from other campuses. Health Corps and UMR. UMR actually provided Health Corps, which I was like, oh, this is a thing. In the living learning community, I wanted to try it out and see what it would offer me, and actually it's been practically amazing. Everyone here is like amazing and awesome, and the support that they offer me and others is really great, especially within academics. Like, people are there for you if you need anything. Like 12 a.m. they're just going to be like, yeah, we can help you with homework or something.
And what's your future education, your future career goal?
Oh, I want to go into oncology and research.
Hello, my name is Amarachi. I was born in Nigeria, and I moved here at the age of 12. So I've lived in Rochester for about a year, and I really love this college because of the courses it offers, like mostly in the sciences, and also I feel like it best prepares me for like graduate school. So when I go into pharmacy school, I won't be like lost in class. I'll be ahead of the class. And also I love like the healthcare community. Like, it has provided a place for me to like be myself. I'm a really weird, quirky person. And there's a group of people that don't judge, so that's amazing. And also, I'm able to do homework last minute because of people like Kalia. She helps me my math. So yeah, I really love this school and the community. Thank you.
Okay, I forgot all the questions.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you're from. Share an interesting nugget about yourself, your childhood, or your culture. What high school did you attend, and what's your future career goal?
All right, I am Samantha. I am from Rochester, Minnesota. An interesting nugget about myself or my culture is that I'm one of the few Jews at the school. So it's going to be kind of hard finding that Jewish guy. I went to high school in Byron, so I went to Byron High School, and in the future I want to become a dentist.
Yeah. Well, I'm Blake. I'm from Chicago. I came to University of Minnesota Rochester because it has a really good structural element to it. Hard sciences. Who doesn't want that? Yeah.
And so Blake, what high school and what's your career goals?
I went to Urban Prep Academies, and my career goes to be an emergency room physician.
All right.
Hello, my name is Manik Yao Yang, and I graduated from Central High School in St. Paul. What was the question?
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a nugget about yourself or your culture or your family. What high school you attended, and Manikia, what is your future career goal?
Okay, I went with high school already. Okay, so a little nugget about me. I think a lot of people or a few people in here know that I am the oldest of 9 kids. My mom had 9 kids. So yeah, and my future plans, or no, wait. So what drew me to UMR is that actually it was never my intention to come here at first. But then what really drew me is that it's really rigorous in the health science, and it's very focused. So I'm very focused, and the community here is really small and tight-knitted, which I really enjoy and I really like. Coming here, it was very different from my home. I've always been living with my family. There wasn't any big changes, and I came to college, and everything's different. But then the faculty here, the students here, the staff here, everyone opens up to you and allows you to be yourself and engage yourself in the community. So I was really drawn in by that. And my future plans is that I want to be engaged in sonography, which is ultrasound. So.
And so, let me share a little with you about this group of students. So 3 of them are from the Rochester community, and Amarachi even went with myself and an admissions rep back to her high school to recruit other students. And I think it was the best part of that recruitment day, because it's always something when students can see someone who they know and someone who represents them to come back and talk about the institution and the benefits of that institution. Blake is from Chicago, and he is one of a few of the students who came from a different state. We had a student from Arizona. We had a student from Pennsylvania to be a part of this cohort. And I think that shows a little bit about the geographical diversity of the group that's here. And Manikia. No. Manikia is not, but she is from a high school in St. Paul. And St. Paul really was a incredible feeder for this learning community. Manikiao is one student, but there are about 5 other students who came from one specific high school, which is Washington Tech, that has a real serious health science preparation program. And one of the students on the panel, actually, I remember when I first met this student, they were also being recruited by Harvard. So these students came with really good academic credentials. Okay, next question, students. All right. When did you first realize that you possessed a love of health sciences or a career helping or caring for others? All right. When did you first realize that you possessed a love for health science and or that you wanted to have a career helping others?
Okay, so about the age of 15, I became a certified nurse assistant, and I worked in a nursing home for a while. And then I was connected to work with a terminal ill patient that had kidney failure. She became one of my biggest inspirations. Every day she would go to her treatments. She would fight brain tumors, any kinds. She would always be there and fighting. And I always would ask her, even if you're going through so much pain, why do you keep going? It's because of my family, because I want to still live here. And then she asks me, what you want to do when you grow up. I want to become a doctor. I want to be those physicians like you see every day that makes you feel a little better every day. And she's like, don't worry, honey, you'll make it. So because of her, she's my inspiration to become in the healthcare.
And Samira, you might want to just take the mic out and just pass the mic. Right.
Well, okay. The first time I was interested, actually, I never thought I would go into oncology, like I wanted to go into oncology, because I think it was because of my aunt who had lung cancer, and she passed away a year and a half ago. Yeah. And she didn't, us as a Somalian community, we don't really tell people if we have a sickness or something. It's not something that we speak about because it shows us others your weakness. And that's the thing about that we have to work as a community, is that we shouldn't allow others to destroy our weaknesses or like let people see that, hey, this is something that you can take advantage of. So she never really told anybody in my family except my mother. And then the first time I learned that she died, I was kind of like, I didn't really believe anybody because I thought it was like, you guys are joking around. She was so full of life. That's not really possible because she had so many things that she wanted to do in life, and she immigrated from Somalia, and she had so many aspirations, and for her to like just pass away like that, I think that was like the hardest time for me. So I started to be more interested in the field of cancer and started to research more and more. And my aunt, who works back at Arizona at Mayo Clinic, introduced me more to the field. I spoke with other doctors about oncology and what it was about and what we had to actually do. And I think one thing that I think that going into the field of oncology will help me learn what she went through, but also like help my community become more together in a sense, more of a community, because I think we shouldn't allow ourselves to be seen as a community where we have to keep all of our weakness inside and let people destroy us in a way. So I think that's something that I want to work on with other people, which is why I want to go into research also. So yeah.
Well, I had a different route. When I was growing up, I really disliked the medical field. I grew up in Nigeria, and going to see the doctor was like, you're gonna die. Because we had a lot of fake doctors, so there was a lot of stigma like hospitals in Nigeria. Like, most people don't really survive there, so I really hated the medical field. But when I came to the United States, I still didn't want to go into medical field, but like everything else, I didn't know. I had like no other choice because I didn't want to do anything engineering, like anything like that, or law. And I was really good at the sciences. And then my dad was like, why don't you like look into the medical field? I was like, ugh. Like, but I know I really love organic chemistry. Like that's my favorite subject. So then my dad told me about pharmacy, and I looked into pharmacy, and I really love the way the way medications are made and like what you're supposed to do. And that's how, that was my senior year of high school, which is really interesting. So that's how I started looking in the medical field, and I applied to UMR. And once I came here, my love for the medical field even grew even more. Like growing up, I knew I really loved people. Like I volunteered at a food shelter, and I saw people like who were sick, and there was this man with a daughter who always had epilepsy, and like who was epileptic, and he had to take care of his daughter. Like seeing people like in sorrows and like seeing them suffering like really got to me. And coming even here, like meeting people with like the same desire and like passion for the medical field even increased my passion in the medical field. And like also like doing research for the impact program, I learned a lot about like diabetes and a lot of cancer. Like cancer has a strong impact in our society today, and that also like drives me further. And also like I really want to like basically make a change in the medical field and not just treat the symptoms of like illnesses, but like also treat like the root causes, because there's so many illnesses out there. Like I feel like the medical field is just treating the symptoms, but if you can like have a lot more research on these diseases and like try to like see what's starting, like what is the beginning, like what even, like why do we have malaria, why do we have cancer, let's target those diseases even more. And I feel that's how we can like revolutionize the medical field. So, yeah.
And, and Sam, before you go on, Amarachi's statement just brought to mind something else, that 10 of the students that are in the health core program are participating in a program that is called CHIPS, and it is about a lifestyle change. So each Monday we meet and we learn about the impact of healthy eating or unhealthy eating on the body. And we have made, and I say we because I didn't know that I was going to be a part of this, but it's probably been the best thing for me. But we have committed to a more healthy eating lifestyle, and I think it has had incredible impact, and it focuses on those root causes of some of the diseases and how we can have some lifestyle changes that would really help us to ensure that we don't fall in some of those same health traps. So another thing that this learning community has been a part of is called the CHIPS program. Okay, Sam, it's on you.
All right. So for me, just being born and raised in the heart of the medical world definitely sparked my interest, because everywhere you look, there's someone involved in the Mayo Clinic usually. So as a kid, I always wanted to be a dentist, and then as I got older, I was thinking about going into the ER and then just being a doctor. Eventually became an astronaut, but I realized I can't do that. And then when I came to this Mayo Clinic Career Festival, I was just walking around to all the different health professions, and nothing was sparking my interest at all until I got to the dental booth, and I found my passion for dentistry again, and I think that's the route I'm going to take now.
All right.
First of all, I'm a real analytical person. Like, you can't tell me anything without an explanation behind it and why it goes and where it goes from, all the factors. So I guess it best fits me. And then another reason is that we trust the medical field so much, but we don't know much. So why not just immerse myself so I can just have all the answers and just give it to everyone who needs it, instead of just making an excluded environment or community.
Hello. I guess you can say that I was born into wanting to help others and wanting to become a part of the medical field. Before I knew how to count numbers, and before I was able to count not count, but sing my ABCs, my father told me, "You're gonna be a doctor one day." And that's part of why I am here today. Even though I did not go down the exact route of my parents' dreams and aspirations for me to become a doctor, I am here in the medical field. My first initiative that made me really wanted to engage in sonography was when I had to do a sonogram for just to check if I have I forgot what it was, kidney stones. And just the feeling of that gel on my stomach made me feel it's kind of like that feeling when you're going to go on a first date and you get butterflies. It's like that. And it just sparked my interest there because that gel just felt so fine, and I imagined and I could imagine myself sitting in that chair and doing the same work on another person, and it made me felt really excited. And that's where my journey began.
Okay, Manikiao, since you have the mic, let's start with you on this one. So this presentation is about the health core learning community. So share with us a little bit about your greatest takeaway, or what you experienced or just one aspect of the learning community that you'd want to share with this audience?
Okay, so Health Corps was the family that I needed. Coming into college, my parents couldn't be here for me. They went away. They went to California to help my grandfather attend with a funeral, and they had many reasons why they couldn't be here to drop me off. And for me, my just that adventure of being gone away to college, or that first day when you're on that car ride coming into college, I felt like that was one of my most important days in my life, and I felt heavily that my parents should have been here with me, but then they weren't able to. Coming into UMR, I felt almost alone, but then coming here, Health Corps opened their arms to me, and they showed me that they can be my family, my brothers and my sisters here for me. And Health Corps showed me what it's like to be engaged in the health sciences, and how do we think alike, what do we do, or what are we all aiming for. And just the learning and living community. We all live together on one floor, and it's quite amazing. I feel like it's a different experience that I would have had if I was at another college. We are all here, and we cook at each other's apartments, or we venture into each other's rooms, watch movies together. And with Health Corps, we also built this community that I don't think I would have been able to experience at another campus. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's see. Health Corps helped me to articulate better. I couldn't get points. I could return things, but I couldn't get points across the correct way. Like I got Samira in case I say something right in statistics, but I didn't write it right, so it's wrong. But now I can, hey, Samira, can you run over this? And it's just a community of people where I can just point to for proofreading, checks, my back. They cross my eyes.
Interesting enough, Blake attended an all-boys high school in Chicago, and so having the community, and a community that is mixed gender, I think might have been an asset as well. All right, Sam, something about CORE.
Yes, so I am so grateful for CORE. I was on a hot summer July day. I got this random phone call from someone in South Carolina, and I was not about to pick it up, but then I get a voice message that says, hey, I'm a part of this living learning community, and I need 2 more students. I was wondering if you would want to take one of the spots, and there's an $8,000 scholarship. And when I heard that, I was like, is this guy scamming me? I was like, whenever there's money involved, my parents always told me it's probably a scam. So that's what I thought automatically. And then I just was thinking about it. I was like, should I call him back? And I'm really glad I called him back, because the community I built here is incredible. I was so nervous coming to school, not being able to find friends, but I automatically made 30 new friends, and just being able to experience new cultures. Like I tell my friends all the time, I didn't even know what Hmong was until I met my Hmong friends. And now I get to see what their culture's like and everyone else's perspectives, and it's just amazing.
Thank you.
Well, coming to Health Corps has helped me a lot. I realized that I grew up in a pretty sheltered world. Like I didn't really understand the diversity of people. Like I thought I knew what diversity was, but like I didn't. So when I came here, I actually realized that there's a lot more cultures than I thought. And like in the cultures, like their values is so different from mine, and they hold strongly to their values just the same way I hold strongly to my values. So I'm able to understand like understand the differences in people and able to understand like those differences can also unite those people. So that's why I love healthcare. And also I've eaten all over the world. Like seriously, I've eaten pho, Vietnamese food. I've eaten pad thai. I've eaten her food, Somali food, sambusa. I've eaten Mexican food. I've eaten. I've gotten fat, so and it's a good thing. I'm learning, so I'm really glad to be in healthcare.
Well, we know that all family really evolves around the dinner table. All right, so that's one of the things. Actually, our bridge program, the focus of our bridge program was on food, and we looked at food being a bridge for these students, and also an opportunity for us to really focus on healthy living. All right, Samira, something about health core.
Okay, I think the number one thing health core taught me most, I think, was to open up more. Because I'm a person who, I don't really like opening up to people. And I don't like telling people my story or where I came from or like who I am. That's not my sort of thing. But like being with health core made me tell my story, what I grew up with and how I live life. And also taught me like how I should, basically taught me to sleep more. Because I'm a person who doesn't really sleep. For me, my best hours is like working all the way up to like 5 a.m. and then getting like 2 hours of sleep and then coming to school. That's my thing. And then when I came here, everyone's like, you're crazy. You can't keep doing that. But like I've learned to like, I need to like relax a bit. I need to sleep more and also to manage time a little bit better. So yeah.
Well, Health Corps has done so much for me. First, I met the most amazing people in the world. I made friends from all over the world. But something that I never experienced before was people actually caring about you so much to the point that they will be by your side in the hospital or in the ambulance. I suffer from severe asthma, and I had a brain cyst in the beginning of the year. And everyone in Health Corps was always there for me since day one, even on my worst day. So I don't know, I'm just so grateful for joining Health Corps.
Okay, and so one last question then. One last question. So we started out talking about health disparity and the workforce, and the future of the healthcare workforce in Minnesota. So I want you to think about this question and give us your response. And this is, of course, looking 4 or 8 years down the road. How do you expect to contribute to closing the disparity gap in healthcare? How do you expect to contribute to closing the disparity gap? Manikiao, you want to start?
Yep, I can start. Okay, sonography. I know for sure I am going to enclose, or not enclose, but then be a part to enclose that gap. In my culture, in my family, we're an ethnicity called Hmong people, and in our language, we don't even have a word for sonography. So for me to engage in that, I will be letting people that are close to me and people of my own ethnicity know that it exists and it's doable and it's possible.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Me is really two agendas. One is to integrate. I really want to integrate the idea of average people having medical literacy, so everybody knows what's going on. And another one is distance. That's a really big idea. There's some places where the nearest trauma center is 90 miles away, and the trauma is all happening in one spot. So I really want to go to that area and impact it and treat it.
So, so helping others to, one, be knowledgeable about healthcare and what's available, and then bringing that healthcare to individuals who may not have an opportunity to have ready access to healthcare. All right, Blake. Yeah. So, Sam, how do you close the disparity gap?
So every 6 months when I step into the dental office, I'm sick of not seeing people who are like me. So when I become a professional, I'm going to plan on mentoring young children and just show that there is a role model like myself and that they can do whatever they put their mind to.
All right, being an example.
Well,
So, Amarachi, how do you close the disparity gap?
um, well, my goal is first of all for someone to like see themselves in a in a position in life. They should first see someone like them in that position in life. Like for example, I want to be a pharmacist. Like if I hadn't seen my aunt in that position, like if I hadn't seen like people from my beginnings, like oh they can make it, then how am I gonna know I can make it? So I want to be like a speaker. Like when I'm older, like visit like kids like me, go back to my country, like see children from like small beginnings. Like my father, he came from poverty basically. He has 9 siblings and he's the only one who went to college. So if no one in that community doesn't have like that dream, like wait, this is nowhere, like we just like we can be higher, we can go higher, like this is not where our life is meant to be. So basically I just want to be that person who can provide insight, can provide light to the rest of them. Like wait a minute, you can look beyond like where you are right now, and it's basically possible. Like do not let your obstacles limit you, you can overcome your obstacles. So that's what I want to do. I want to be able to empower every like people I meet, also doing the mentoring. Like she said, I'm basically speaking to as much people as I can.
All right, thank you.
I think the only way to like, when I was back in middle school and a little bit of elementary, I was bullied a lot. But like, I remember this one time where I was bullied to the point where like I like tore a few muscles in my back, and like I had really bad chest pains ever since. Then I tore a few tore a few muscles within both of my arms, and I went to the emergency room and I had to wait for like 3.5 hours just for a female doctor to come in. Because for a female Muslim, we can't allow males to touch us, so we have to wait till a female comes in. So the only person who saw me was a nurse, and she didn't really know, she couldn't do anything to me yet without the doctors per se stay into it. So I just wanted to recruit more female Muslims or female in general into the healthcare field. And I know there's a lot of females going into the medical field now, but the thing is they're not going into the ER because they want families and they want kids, but I want them to know that they can still have both in their life. So, yeah.
Well, me as an illegal immigrant and being Mexican, I think I'll bring a lot of diversity into the medical field. But starting about next year and next semester, me and Samira are starting a program that we'll be implementing in the senior year of high school for students who are freshman year of college, who come from different backgrounds, like first people who might be going to college, Muslims, Christians, like from all over the world, not all over the world, all over the spectrum, and helping them go to college. And as I tell my little brother, if I can become a doctor one day, you can do anything you set your mind to. So, yeah.
Thank you. And it's interesting, Paola and Samira talked about a program that they are designing and planning to implement, and that program is one in which they will have an opportunity to go back into the communities and share their experiences and help other students to really begin to realize their own potential. And I think that's a part of what we always hoped for. At the beginning of the school year, we all sat down and thought about different activities that the students could be engaged in. I didn't want to just kind of create these activities. I wanted to listen to them and to think about what they wanted to do. And some of the things that they decided, one was they wanted to have a day in the life of a resident. So a day in the life of residency, kind of see what that looked like. Another was that they wanted to know the do's and don'ts of pharmacy school. I think that probably was Amarachi who probably led that. And also they wanted to have a collaboration or some sort of inroads with Mayo They wanted that to be a part of the programming for the year. And also there was this event and other community focused events because we did, this was one of the events that we had on the agenda, and then there was also a Fuse event with the Diversity Council that was a part of the planning. And then they said they wanted to be a part, actually I think I might have mentioned recruitment. And so when I thought of recruitment, I was thinking because I spent a year here at UMR before these students came on board, going out and doing recruitment and thinking about the program. And I didn't have as great of an inroads into the Rochester community as I had thought that I would have. And I mean within the high schools. And so I was thinking maybe if I would just get one or two students to then want to do recruitment, that they would go out with me and then help me to recruit students. I was incredibly shocked that when we put the recruitment on the table, there are 30 students in the learning community. 17 students signed up for the recruitment group. And I was like, okay, what do we even do? What do we even do with this now? But it's been interesting to see, one, their desire to go out and to really sort of create that kind of pipeline or farm team that would say, hey, you can do it. And this Saturday is the Health Scholars Day, where we have an opportunity to invite the next cohort of health core students. They'll be coming in, and there is they have an opportunity to then showcase themselves and to express why they would be the next cohort of students. And these students have said to me in the meeting prior to this one, I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of making sure that we have an opportunity to help those students to understand why UMR has been such a wonderful asset to them. So there's no better representation of what Health Core is all about than to hear from them. But I do want to open and offer an opportunity, if you have questions of them, to share or to ask those questions, and they're able to share their experiences.
So how did you find out about UMR? And is there things that it could do better so more people knew about
UMR? I can start. I found out about UMR because one of my friends initially, at first, wanted to come to UMR and wanted to go to medical school. So that's how I heard about UMR. I actually didn't know that UMR was a campus before that.
I actually found out from a family member, but I really think that to get more people, I guess, not only put the word out, but more of a, I can't find the word.
Intentional?
Yeah, a more of an intentional way to like get people instead of just one direct focus and one type of outcome, but more of a broad, different way. Social media, papers, letters, any way we can get it out.
Just by living in Rochester, I knew about it.
Well, actually, because I live in Rochester, I was driving down the street and I saw a building with like the big M sign on it. And I didn't understand why there was an M sign on a building. So, so one day I like Googled it, and then I was like, oh wait, just a campus? I was so shocked. I didn't want to tell my dad at first because I knew he was going to send me there. And I didn't want to be in state. But like, I had to tell him because I couldn't lie to my dad. So then I told him, and then we went to go tour the school and we found out, oh wait, it's like investing in health sciences, and that's how I found about UMR. I think another way to like spread the news about UMR is like targeting those high schools that like have cohorts of kids who are focused into like the health sciences. Because I'm pretty sure that if more kids knew about like a school who's basically dedicated to their future goals, they'll be more interested in like coming to that school.
I learned about UMR through my mom. She told me that there was a university here in Rochester. I thought she was lying until she actually drove here and brought me here. And then I walked around. I was like, oh, it actually exists. But then ever since I became interested in it. But I think one thing that they can do, we talked about this in RSA, which is a student government here, but like one thing that they can do to better advertise this school is what like doing what regular colleges kind of do. Maybe a day in the life of a student, bring a student to another college and let them talk about themselves, or even doing like a live-in kind of thing where they live, like they go to an apartment and stay there for a night at UMR, or even like through social media a little bit more, maybe on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, more advertisement through that way.
The way I learned about UMR actually came to my school and did a presentation, and that's when I discovered it existed. But I agree with Samira. I think implementing those programs where students can come and shadow or stay overnight would be very beneficial to learn about the school better, because I didn't learn about it until I came to one of the, what is it called?
Visit days?
Visit days.
Mhm. And one of the things that I'm not sure which one of the young ladies said this, but one of the roles that I had was to actually go out to schools to inform students about this particular learning community. And one of the things that we did, where we were real strategic in identifying schools that had health science curriculums or pathways. And so we were invited to Chicago, and I met Blake in Chicago, but not at one of those schools. It was at doing one of those visits, but we had an opportunity to kind of look at those schools that had career pathways in health sciences. So some of the students actually selected their career pathways as early as ninth grade and just continued on that track. And so we targeted those schools. And I think that's another reason why I mentioned Washington Tech and St. Paul. They have a real strong science component. And so now that we've had a chance to build those rapport, to build that rapport with those schools, then we wind up getting more and more students from those schools, and they already have a strong science and math background. Any other questions? Hmm?
There's an important person that I want to introduce to the whole program. This is Rithi, and you can tell us what you do.
Okay. Hi, I'm Rithi. I am the Health Corps Community Assistant, so I live on the same floor as them, and I'm kind of a resident assistant, but I take on different like aspects of Health Corps as well, so like program planning and just making sure that they're all super happy and have like fun and stuff like that. So yeah, I love it. It's the best job I've ever had. Like I love all 30 of them. They're like kind of like the light of my life. Like I feel like a mom sometimes, but it's just like, yeah, it's wonderful. But yeah.
So
I'm from Prior Lake, Minnesota, which is a suburb 30 minutes south of the Twin Cities. I heard about UMR. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yep, I'm a third-year student here. So, and then I heard about UMR from my mom, and she was looking at different campuses, and she was like, oh, like UMR, like you want to go into like medicine, like this is a great campus. And so, yeah, I applied, and I got in, and I went to VIP day, and I fell in love. Like, it was just a really, really cool place, and I felt like I could like completely be myself, and it was just like a good platform for me to like start my life. So it was super fun, and I guess I want to go into global health. So right after I graduate, I want to go into the Peace Corps and work with a lot of communities abroad. So yeah.
Before you go, I just want to say something, because Rithi, I don't know that she really gives herself the kind of credit that she deserves, because she is the liaison between the administrative part of the campus and what I do, and she's there every night, every day, organizing and planning and really being that go-to person that these students can have on campus. And I'll never forget, before we got into the first semester, I had to tell the students, wait a minute, let's not use Rithi so much, because she's a student too, but she's so giving and so caring and so available that she has really been the cornerstone and the hinge that helps this community to be what it is. And I'm sure that the students, I had to stop them because I knew that they wanted to really clap for her, but I'm sure that the students would agree with me and we would have an opportunity to thank her for everything that she's done for this program.
Thank you.
And Health Corps is only one of 3 learning communities that were instituted this year. So this is just one. This particular one is for students that are underrepresented. But there's another learning community for students that it's Global Connection. So it's really looking at pairing international students with domestic students to help them get acclimated and also help the domestic students to learn more about the cultural differences of those students that are coming to the university. And then there's also one called ROCK. It's recovery on campus for students that are in recovery from either alcohol or maybe drug addictions, and those students are into the educational environment and having a supportive community that really helps them to maneuver and to matriculate through school. So this is just one of 3 learning communities. But I have to say thank you for coming out and sharing with us, for listening to the students, and for being real receptive to those students sharing their stories. And thank you to the students. Yep.
That was a bad idea. I'm going to put this down.
Dig deep. So, I don't know what that is.
Winner needs to be present. He wins a lot.
Oh, I didn't know there was a drawing.
Okay, has to be present.
No, Satora. Satora's not present. No.
Dragon.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, right? Leaving with UMR Swick.
Shelley Sykes. Yeah. Congratulations. All right, thank you all.
Next week, we have
Oh.
Thank you so much.
And can I also just a commercial? You know, next week we are hosting a series of Black History Month activities. So there is a celebration of the arts. So there'll be the maestro, the conductor of the symphony, who will be here for a brown bag lunch on Friday. And there is a young lady who's coming in to share about African American female composers. And she's also going to give some vignettes. She'll do some music performances. And we just got a plethora of things that are happening all next week. So if you have an opportunity, you can find the information on the UMR website. And if you get a chance, come on out and join us one of the days. All right? Hmm?